Have you ever wondered why some women can make a man chase them endlessly, while others have to beg for attention? It's not about looks, age, or even personality. It's about something much deeper, something that most women don't even realize they're triggering. Every man, no matter how confident or emotionally mature he seems, is ruled by two powerful impulses buried deep inside his psychology. And when a woman awakens these two impulses, even unintentionally, he feels an almost magnetic pull toward her. He starts thinking about her constantly, making excuses to talk to her, and even competing for her attention. But when these impulses aren't triggered, his interest fades. He may enjoy spending time with you, but he won't chase you. He won't fight for you. Because attraction without these impulses is like a fire without oxygen. It burns out fast. Here's the truth most people don't talk about. Men are not naturally driven to chase love. They're driven to chase meaning. They're wired to pursue what challenges their mind and stirs their emotions. And when a woman unknowingly touches these two hidden triggers, he feels something he can't explain. He feels addicted to her. You see, when a man falls in love, it rarely happens because of beauty or chemistry alone. It happens because she awakens the part of him that wants to win her. Not in a superficial way, but emotionally. He doesn't want to lose her because she makes him feel something he can't feel anywhere else. That's why you may have noticed this pattern. The moment you start giving too much, showing too much, or trying too hard to prove your worth, he starts to pull away. But when you're calm, grounded, and just a little mysterious, he starts leaning in. He texts more. He remembers small details. He asks about your day. He finds reasons to stay connected. Why? Because you've awakened those two impulses that make a man chase. One that speaks to his instinct to conquer, and another that speaks to his need to feel emotionally chosen. And what's fascinating is that most women awaken only one of them, usually the physical or ego-driven one, and then wonder why the relationship doesn't last. Because to make a man truly invest, both impulses must be activated at the same time. Throughout this video, you'll understand exactly what these two impulses are, how they work inside a man's mind, and what simple shifts you can make to awaken them naturally, without games, manipulation, or pretending to be someone you're not. And before you think this is about playing hard to get, it's not. This is about understanding masculine psychology, how men connect, desire, and commit when they feel something real and rare. So if you've ever asked yourself questions like, why did he lose interest after things seemed perfect? Why does he chase one woman and ignore another? Or, why do men sometimes say they're not ready, but end up giving everything to someone else later? Stay with me, because the answers are not what you think. By the end of this, you'll understand that when a man chases a woman, it's not because she's better. It's because she knows how to awaken the part of him that needs to feel alive. And once he feels that with you, nothing else compares. Let me tell you about a woman named Claire. Claire was the kind of woman who gave everything when she cared about someone. She believed that love meant proving loyalty, staying available, and showing affection at every chance she got. When she met Daniel, she thought she had finally found someone who saw her value. At first, everything was perfect. He was attentive, curious, always wanting to see her. He would text her in the morning, call her at night, and plan spontaneous dates. It felt like he was completely into her, until, slowly, things began to change. He didn't stop talking to her, but the tone shifted. The excitement faded. He started replying slower, canceling plans, and acting distant without explaining why. Claire did what most women do. She tried harder. She sent longer texts, checked in more often, tried to keep the energy alive. But the more she reached out, the colder he became. Until one day she realized she was the only one chasing. It wasn't that Daniel didn't like her, he did. But something had shifted in his psychology. That invisible spark that once made him crave her presence was gone. And the worst part? Claire had no idea what she did wrong. Weeks later, when they finally had the talk, he said something that stayed with her forever. He said, "You didn't do anything wrong, Claire. I just don't feel that pull anymore." That word, pull, haunted her, because she knew it wasn't about logic or reason. It was about feeling. Something inside him that used to be alive had gone quiet. And that's when she started to wonder, what creates that pull in a man's mind? Why can a woman be kind, loyal, and supportive, and still fail to make a man truly pursue her? After months of reflection, she realized something powerful. In the beginning, she had naturally awakened both of his hidden impulses, but later, without realizing it, she had silenced one of them completely. At first, she made him curious. He didn't know everything about her. She was warm, but unpredictable. She made him feel like he had to earn her attention, and that activated his instinct to conquer. Every message, every meeting felt like progress, like he was moving closer to something special. But as soon as she started overgiving, replying instantly, adjusting her life around him, saying yes to everything, that instinct faded. He no longer had to pursue. Everything was already his. The chase was gone. And without that, his emotions started to cool down. But the other impulse, the one that keeps a man emotionally attached, was also missing. Because when she began prioritizing him above herself, he stopped feeling chosen. To him, it no longer felt like she was choosing him, but like she needed him. And that subtle difference changed everything. You see, men are drawn to women who make them feel both challenged and desired, but not needed. When he feels that combination, it awakens something deep inside him. He doesn't just want to be around her. He feels compelled to protect, impress, and win her heart. And this isn't about playing games. It's about energy. It's about how a woman's behavior communicates value without words. Claire later met someone new. This time she decided to do things differently. She didn't chase. She didn't overshare. She let him come to her, but not out of strategy, out of self-respect. She focused on her own life, stayed consistent but mysterious enough to keep him wondering. And guess what? He chased her, consistently, for months, because she had unknowingly activated both impulses again, the instinct to conquer and the need to feel emotionally chosen. When those two forces collide, a man doesn't just like a woman, he becomes emotionally invested in her. He starts thinking about how to keep her, not just how to get her, and that's when the real bond begins. Every man carries within him two emotional codes that silently shape his behavior in love. Most women only awaken one, and that's why so many relationships start with passion and end in confusion. The first impulse is the instinct to conquer. The second is the need to feel emotionally chosen. When these two are awakened together, a man doesn't just feel attraction, he feels connection, he feels purpose. Let's start with the first one, the instinct to conquer. From the moment boys start developing emotionally, they are taught, directly or indirectly, that love must be earned. They grow up hearing that they must win, prove themselves, and take action. This becomes an emotional reflex. So when a man meets a woman who gives him instant validation, his mind registers pleasure, but not pursuit. It feels good in the moment, but it doesn't challenge him. It doesn't create emotional investment. Think about it like this. Men don't fall in love through comfort. They fall in love through effort. When he feels like he's working to earn your time, your trust, your affection, he feels alive. Every step toward you becomes meaningful because it feels like progress. That's why when you make yourself too available too soon, something inside him shuts off, not because he's cruel or bored, but because the first impulse, the instinct to conquer, has no room to breathe. Men need to feel they're advancing, not arriving. This doesn't mean you should play games or pretend disinterest. It means you create emotional space. You allow him to move toward you. You let silence do part of the work. You respond with warmth, but not instant surrender. That subtle tension, the unknown, is what keeps him engaged. He feels drawn, alert, invested. Now let's move to the second impulse, the one that determines whether he'll stay once he gets close. The need to feel emotionally chosen. Here's something most people don't realize. Men crave to be chosen just as deeply as women do. They just express it differently. Behind the masculine ego and confidence, there's a quiet vulnerability, a desire to feel like he's the one you see above all others. Not because you're desperate or dependent, but because your choice feels intentional. When a woman values herself, respects her boundaries, and maintains her individuality, her attention becomes precious. And when she gives that attention to him, it feels earned. He feels emotionally chosen, not by chance, but by value. That's what transforms physical attraction into emotional connection. He no longer feels like he's just part of your world. He feels like he matters in it. But when a woman loses her center, when she gives too much, too fast, he stops feeling chosen. He feels needed. And the masculine energy doesn't bond through need. It bonds through admiration. When he senses that you're not chasing him, but that you're capable of walking away if he doesn't meet your energy, it awakens something powerful inside him. He feels challenged, but emotionally safe at the same time. That's the perfect combination. The mystery that excites him and the warmth that anchors him. The woman who awakens both impulses becomes unforgettable because she speaks to both sides of his emotional nature, the hunter and the human. She makes him feel the thrill of pursuit and the security of being seen. And here's the secret. It's not about pretending or acting cold. It's about embodying your own value so clearly that he feels lucky to be part of your world. You don't need to tell him you're different. He feels it. In your energy, your pauses, your self-control, your standards. He starts to notice the small things. That you don't respond to messages at midnight just because he suddenly remembered you. That you don't cancel your plans to be available every time he calls. That you can enjoy a moment with him deeply, but still walk away peacefully if he stops matching your effort. That balance confuses and captivates him, because most women either give too much or hold back too much. The woman who can do both, be emotionally open yet self-respecting, triggers both of his deepest impulses at once. He feels like he must earn her love, but he also feels safe enough to receive it. When that happens, he starts to prioritize her without even realizing it. He plans around her schedule. He stops taking her for granted. He defends her when others talk about her. He starts imagining a future because his brain connects her presence to emotional fulfillment. That's why some men can't move on from certain women, even years later. It's not because of looks, memories, or even chemistry. It's because she awakened both impulses, and his mind can't replace that feeling. Once a man experiences that depth, every other connection feels incomplete. So remember this. When you stop chasing validation and start embodying value, you flip the dynamic completely. He begins to chase you, not because he's afraid to lose you, but because he feels alive when he's with you. That's what real attraction is. Not fear-based, but energy-based. And when a man feels that kind of energy, he won't want to let it go. When a woman doesn't awaken these two hidden impulses, something subtle but powerful happens inside a man's mind. The attraction starts to decay. It doesn't disappear overnight. It fades quietly, like a candle burning out in a closed room. At first, he still texts, he still calls, he still shows interest. But little by little, the emotional gravity that once pulled him toward you weakens. He begins to rationalize his feelings. Maybe we're not compatible. He starts comparing the connection to past experiences, to the thrill he once felt with someone else. And before long, his attention drifts, not because another woman is better, but because he no longer feels that inner spark that made him want to fight for you. That's what happens when a man's instinct to conquer is silenced. He stops feeling the rush of progress. He no longer feels like he's earning your affection, and that makes him restless. His brain starts to crave stimulation again, something to chase, something uncertain. He may not even realize it, but he begins to withdraw emotionally, seeking that sense of pursuit somewhere else, in work, hobbies, distractions, or another woman who unknowingly reactivates that dormant instinct. And when his need to feel emotionally chosen isn't fulfilled, a deeper wound appears. He begins to feel invisible. Even if you're giving him everything, he interprets it as pressure, not love. Because when affection isn't balanced with self-respect, it doesn't feel like choice, it feels like need. And men, by nature, disconnect from what feels like emotional dependency. So what does this mean for you? It means that the more you chase, explain, justify, or overgive, the further he'll drift. The more you try to remind him of what you shared, the more he'll resist. Because you're feeding logic into something that lives in emotion. You can't convince a man to feel desire again, but you can reawaken it, not with words, but with energy, by reclaiming your independence, by no longer reacting to every move he makes, by returning to the version of yourself that once made him curious, confident, calm, unpredictable. The moment you do that, his instincts start to notice again. His mind becomes alert. He wonders what changed. He begins to think about you at random times, replaying old memories, questioning why he let you slip away. Because for the first time in a long time, he feels something he hasn't felt, the chase. That's the power of balance. When you restore both impulses, the dynamic flips instantly. He starts calling more, planning dates, asking deeper questions. He starts earning your time again. And all of this happens not because you demanded it, but because you shifted the emotional equation. But if you keep silencing those impulses, if you continue giving everything without space, attention without boundaries, and love without mystery, you'll always feel like you're the one doing the chasing. And the more you chase, the less he values what you give. That's the painful truth many women never hear. A man doesn't fall in love when he's comfortable. He falls in love when he's inspired. And inspiration requires space, the unknown, the challenge, the excitement of discovery. So if you're in a situation where a man has pulled away, stop trying to fix it with effort. Fix it with distance. Let silence speak. Let him notice the absence of your energy. Because when a man feels your absence more than your presence, that's when realization begins. And here's the irony. When you finally stop chasing him, he starts chasing you. Not because of ego, but because you've reignited those two dormant forces that made him see you as rare, magnetic, and emotionally irreplaceable. The choice is always yours. You can spend your energy trying to make him understand your worth, or you can embody it so clearly that he has no choice but to feel it. When it comes to love, most women are taught to give more attention, more affection, more reassurance. But the truth is, men don't fall for the woman who gives the most. They fall for the woman who makes them feel the most. And those feelings come alive only when the two hidden impulses inside him are awakened, the instinct to conquer and the need to feel emotionally chosen. If you've ever felt like you were too much for someone, or like no matter how kind and loyal you were, it was never enough, remember this: you weren't too much, you were just giving it all before he was emotionally ready to value it. When a man hasn't earned something, he can't appreciate it. When he hasn't pursued, he can't attach. That's why the women who seem to have men chasing them effortlessly aren't doing magic. They've simply mastered emotional rhythm. They know when to give and when to pause, when to be warm and when to be silent. They move with self-awareness, not fear. And that's what makes them unforgettable. Because when a man feels both challenged and chosen, his entire psychology lights up. He starts to invest emotionally. He starts to build consistency. He starts to imagine a future, not because you asked him to, but because he wants to. And here's something powerful to keep in mind. Every time you prioritize your peace over proving your worth, you become more attractive. Every time you walk away from uncertainty instead of begging for clarity, you strengthen your energy. And every time you show that your world doesn't revolve around him, he starts wanting to be part of it. Men don't fall in love with perfection. They fall in love with presence, with the kind of woman who knows who she is, who doesn't chase validation, and who gives love without losing herself in the process. So from this moment forward, stop asking yourself, how can I make him want me? Start asking, how can I make myself magnetic again? Because the answer is never in him. It's in your energy, the energy that draws, not demands. The energy that makes a man remember you even when you're not around. When you learn to awaken both impulses, his instinct to conquer and his need to feel emotionally chosen, you'll never have to chase a man again. He'll do it willingly, he'll do it passionately, and most importantly, he'll do it because something about you feels like home and adventure at the same time. So take a deep breath, step back, let him come to you. Not because you're playing a game, but because you finally understand your value. That's when everything changes. That's when the chasing ends, and the connection truly begins.